Once the desire arises, we become a slave to them. It's just that we say, oh, these are my desires. How are these your desires when you never desired them? Do we desire our desires? No, they just come. And where do they come from? They come from influences, they come from conditioning, and they arise from the bodily configuration. And once they arise, we act as if we own them. We say, oh, this is my desire. And then we run after those desires. And 1,000 others are running after the same desires. And if we succeed in the competition, we say we are special. No, we are not. Can you question desire itself? And when you question desire itself, then you learn the right desire. And that's where joy is. That's where the highest pleasure is.
Generation. My last question to you, Acharyaji, is that, keeping in mind your background and what you have achieved, to date, what are the top 5 things you wish to have business leaders of today internalize so that they can create happy places to work for themselves as well as for the teams that they are responsible for?
The first thing is that there has to be a purpose to business. When you have a purpose for doing something, then because of the purpose, because of the immediacy of the purpose, because of the very power and the urgency of the purpose, money has to be created. It is the purpose that is paramount. And since we are worldly beings, corporal beings, we require money in whatever we are trying to do. Even to purchase a spiritual scripture, one requires some money. So money then is the byproduct. Or money then is the fuel that you need to drive your vehicle, your organization, your caravan to your destination. When that purpose is there, then a lot of your problems are automatically taken care of. I'm talking of a business environment. You don't have to worry about retention or attrition then, for example. The right people, they don't have to be lured with lucrative offers. And the wrong people, the system automatically ejects them out. It's as if the system does not want them, so the system has thrown them away. You don't have to fire them. And from a business perspective, do you see the kind of cost saving it implies? The right people will be drawn towards you. You don't even need to have a full-fledged HR department. People will just come. And you also do not need to be wondering that your employee cost is high and what do you do with the non-performers. In a truly purpose-driven, sacred environment, nonsense starts feeling suffocated, and therefore it runs away on its own. People fire themselves out. You don't have to fire the wrong ones. And you don't have to motivate the right ones. You don't have to urge people to work harder. Because it's the purpose then that drives the people. The CEO need not be the chief motivator then. The salary and the perks and the raises need not be the chief motivator then. You know what you're doing, and you know it deserves to be done. You're in love with it. That's the most important thing. That's actually number 1 till 5, though I'll try to uh, think of 4 more things. But this one thing takes care of almost everything else. And if you do not have a purpose-driven organization, then you will have to work very hard. You'll have to work very, very hard just to keep your tribe together, just to maintain your particular level of market share and profitability and all the other metrics. I've been a strategy consultant, a business consultant uh, in my corporate life. So I know how hard people have to work in the corporate. And a lot of this difficulty businesses take upon themselves because they are not vision driven or value driven. The employee knows for sure that the entire setup exists to make money for the shareholder. And the shareholder is some Lalaji sitting at the top, Lalaji and his entire tribe. So now in such an environment, why won't the employee simply take care of his own limited selfish personal interests? Because that's the very vibe in the organization. That's in fact the avowed purpose for which the organization exists, to maximize shareholder profit. The employee says, if the shareholder is maximizing his profit, then why should I be a fool to not maximize my own profit? Now there is conflict, because the shareholders' interests and the employees' interests need not be necessarily aligned. So take care of that. Then happy workspaces, you said, deal a lot in numbers. From a spiritual perspective, facts are very, very important. Facts are the door to truth, I say. And facts are best captured in numbers. Anything that is material can be quantified. And what can be quantified must be quantified. If you do not quantify it, then you are leaving it vulnerable to imagination, extrapolation, exaggeration, and a lot of myth making. So deal in numbers. That serves many purposes. It creates a very just workplace. Otherwise, it often happens that just by the apparent force of their personality, some people start getting higher returns than they deserve. The real performers, the honest ones, the ones who have their heart at the right place, they don't get recognized if you do not have very, very objective metrics for performance measurement. And irrespective of how advanced an organization is, it does happen that a lot of subjectivity creeps in when it comes to assessment and evaluation. That must not be there. So internally, there must be clarity, and externally, there must be numbers. Then what else would lead to a happy workplace? Be very cautious of mercenaries. Skill can be developed. But building a heart is a much more time-taking and arduous process.
Right.
I'm not saying that totally unskilled people can be hired. No, not that. But if it's a choice between skill and center, when I say center, I mean where are you coming from? Hmm? What the center of your thought, your existence, your mind is. So if it's a choice between skill and center, go for the center. And later on, they can be skilled. Skill is easier to impart. Internal substance is much more difficult to impart, and also workplaces are not designed to impart substance. You can have a great training facility in your IT company, for example, that imparts skill, but you really do not have the kind of people and the environment who can be gurus and transform a person from within. That's not your domain. So don't be myopic. Don't be myopic. There is a great temptation to quickly hire or poach the person who seems to have the right kinds of skills that your urgent project requires at the moment. So you just want to go and pick that person and offer him a fat sum. Avoid that temptation. The fourth one I would say is love the purpose for which the organization exists. Therefore, love the organization itself, but don't be attached. Learn to drop. The value of renunciation is useful even in the corporate context. Letting go of a lot of things is extremely important, be it brands that are over the peak now, or people who have been for X years in the organization, but clearly are not keeping pace or moving in the right direction, or the old kinds of systems that you have. So there has to be a great love for the central purpose, and that must never be dropped. Equally, everything else must be subjected to careful analysis, and whatsoever appears redundant must be dropped without attachment. What we find in practice is usually the opposite. We are prepared to drop the core purpose. We are prepared to change the field of business itself. So a food processing company might decide that it wants to get into consumer finance or into footwear. And there it does not have any compunctions. But when it comes to challenging the internal values and the systems and the operations and the old people who have been hanging around since a decade, then there is a lot of resistance towards change. Oh, how do I drop this person? Or how do I change that process? No. Keep the center immovable, and everything else should be movable. Everything else should be movable. Be very detached. Be very loving towards the center and very detached towards everything else. Just as there is dharma needed in the society. There has to be dharma within the organization as well. I'll elucidate. You see, why was Krishna so adamant that Arjun must fight? The reason was, if Duryodhan gets the throne, then Hastinapur, being a very important kingdom, a lot of people, the entire population, will be subjected to an unjust ruler. And that is not all right. Power must belong to the right place. Power must belong to the right place. Similarly, within an organization, one has to be very careful that the right ones are identified and empowered. Right? Typically, what happens is that the right ones are not vocal. And they are not vocal because they are the right ones. Rightness does not have to be very vocal. So they are not very vocal. But the consequence is that then they become marginalized, or do not get noticed, or do not remain in the center of things. So knowingly or unknowingly, the ones at the top fail in identifying them. This kind of identification is extremely important, and the right things must be rightly rewarded. That is dharma. If it becomes known in the organization that one can rise the ranks through devious kind of behavior, then a rot sets in. Everybody very quickly gets the clue, and it becomes a norm to behave in inappropriate ways for the sake of personal self-interest. So, it matters a lot who's sitting at the top, who's being given the authority, who's wielding the power. And just as we do not know whom to befriend, just as we do not know whom to marry, just as we do not know the right car model to buy, just as we remain confused in most of our life choices day to day, we similarly do not know how to identify the right person to be given power. And it's an extremely important decision. If you empower the wrong kind of people, that's like giving Hastinapur to Duryodhan, and then you know the consequence. That's like giving away the world to Adolf Hitler. There is no need to fight the entire world war. Just give him what he wants, and he wanted power over the entire globe. Why couldn't we agree to his demand? Because if Hitler rules, then there would be a proliferation of the wrong kind of values, right till the lowest level of the society. It starts from the top and goes right till the bottom. So, yes, a lot of the wrong kind of happiness and wrong kind of unhappiness can be avoided with discretion.
I mean, this is very beautiful because, a very thought through gems is what you came out with. So, which is why I was absolutely patient, letting you think. I'd like to summarize the 5 points which I could gather. One is build a purpose-driven organization. Money is just a byproduct. Second is have an organization which is vision-driven and value-driven. Third is facts are very, very important. It's like you said, it's the door to the truth. So deal with a lot of numbers and be factually correct. Fourth was uh, internalize clarity and keep the core at the center, and everything around it can change, but the core must not change. And fourth was love the organization, but don't be attached to it. Renunciation, as in the spiritual process, must also be practiced in the corporate world as well. So learn to let go is extremely important. And last point was, which was my personal favorite, that practice dharma within the organization. Let the power rest, empower the right people so that they can be a just organization which gets developed. What beautiful points. I mean, it's such amazing the points that you came up with.
Thank you.
Acharya I must thank you for your time. I feel blessed that I could be the, वो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना जरिया, or the conduit to share this message through Business World and our BW Wellbeing with our audience. I really can't thank you more for the time you have taken out for us. We have taken a lot of time, but we feel blessed.
Really enjoyed the conversation, and thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Acharya. Acharya, thank you so much. The formal conversation ended there. And I personally really enjoyed listening to you. I also try to move towards spirituality. I'm a confused being always. And, my question about spirituality, because I use this term that, I am not a religious person, I'm a spiritual person. And I always have a conflict with rituals. Because whenever I have gone, whether it is to a gurdwara or to a mandir, when I ask these people that, आप जो कर रहे हो वो क्यों कर रहे हो? And the only best answer that they have ever been given to is कि ये ये प्रथा है. But वो प्रथा कैसे शुरू हुई थी, क्यों करा गया था? Most of them don't have an answer.
That's true, and that's what gives religion a bad name. And
yes,
that's why this conversation was so important, and religious reform is the need of the hour. And with conversations like these, something very important happens. It's not just a thing that happening between two persons.
Yes,
it will go far and wide, and the ball is set rolling. So thank you so much. And
no, I thank you. I thank you, and I look forward to more conversations with you. I hope you will give us the opportunity.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you so much.